Welcome back, race fans, to NOLA Motorsports Park, where the sun is still shining and the temperature is still climbing. A fantastic weekend here at NOLA to get things underway. And again, we saw what happened yesterday, qualifying for all the categories. They're doing it again, qualifying number 2 here this morning. USF Junior is already done. USF 2000 and USF Pro 2000 about set to go out for their second qualifying session. With all the track time so far, look for drivers to pick things up here in the second qualifying run. A full slate of action this afternoon. All 3 series will get their first race of the triple header in, but qualifying will wrap up right here on a Saturday morning to see how those grids set up for the races the remainder of the weekend. After this break, we'll be back. USF 2000 drivers on track for qualifying.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah. Road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by, like, a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
And back here at NOLA Motorsports Park, drivers have pulled out onto the track. You can see just a handful of machines here at USF 2000 still on the grid. Everybody else rolling out to get things going here for qualifying 2, just as we had earlier today in USF Juniors. Fastest lap will set the grid for race number 2. The second fastest lap of this session, potentially or provisionally, the time you'll use for race number 3. If you don't go quicker in race 2 than you do your second fastest lap in qualifying 2, you can use that time instead, potentially move you up the grid. Again, hello to all those you tuned in here. We got back-to-back qualifying sessions for you. Anything started here right now with USF 2000. The USF Pro 2000 drivers will be ready to go as well. They're on at 10:45, so just under 40 minutes now for those drivers to be on for USF Pro 2000. One continual stream here on USF Pro TV. Again, hello to those of you listening around the country and around the world. We know of obviously a great group of drivers here in USF 2000 this year in an international field, as always. So excited to see these drivers get rolling here. Drivers from England, Australia. We know a number of Americans. Of course, we've got Colombia as well from Sebastian Garzon, South Africa for Vian Boshoff, so Brazil as well for Lucas Facuri. So up and down the entire program, USF Juniors 2000 and Pro 2000, international field of drivers, all with their focus, their career goals aimed at the NTT IndyCar Series. We are going to be celebrating 2 big milestones here coming this weekend as well. One of them today, one of them tomorrow. This afternoon is going to be the 350th race for USF Pro 2000. You go back through Indy Pro 2000, Pro Mazda, Star Mazda. So many fantastic drivers have been part of this program through the different cars that they've had back in the old Formula Mazda days, then to the Pro Formula Mazda, and of course what started out as the PM18 and then the IP22, the Tatis machines that we moved to again back in 2022. Rather, 2018 was the first year for the Tatis. We started off with the USF 2000 car in 2017, the USF 17. The next year we used that same chassis as well for the PM18. Again, that's one of the keys of the program here. All the same tubs for USF Juniors 2000 and Pro 2000. Just hang different components off the car and add some horsepower, add some downforce, add some braking capability, more of everything as you work your way up the ranks. But yeah, the 350th race of USF Pro 2000. And kind of scroll back through some of them. We'll talk about it throughout the weekend. It's amazing as these young USF Juniors driver or USF 2000 drivers are starting to get some heat into these Continental tires. You think about the drivers who kind of set some of those milestones. You go back to race number 100, and that was won by none other than Turn 3 Motorsports team owner Peter Dempsey, winning the 100th USF Pro 2000 race. Race number 300, a couple years ago, that was Louis Foster. He went on to win the championship of course, now up into the NTT IndyCar Series, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. But it's just a long list. You can just click them all off. The drivers who have won in this particular category: Kyle Kirkwood, Pato O'Ward, Renus VK, Stingray Robb, Christian Rasmussen, David Malukas. You know, you just keep going up the ranks of the guys. And then you go further, deeper into the history, the lineage of the series with Connor Daly as well. You go back to some of those early days where there was some really interesting winners in the program. Joey Hand, for one, of course, he's now a Ford factory driver. We talked about Deb Ciarrati, Jack Hawksworth, who's a Lexus factory driver here now, alongside Aaron Tielitz. Drivers like Tristan Vautier and Spencer Piggott. Braden Eves, now a coach and engineer with Exclusive Autosport. But I talked already again about Patricio O'Ward, Pato, and Kyle Kirkwood as well. Pato winning back in, I want to say, 2016 for Pato. Kirkwood, 2019. Louis Foster, 22. Let's get back to the job at hand here right now with those pilots here in the USF 2000 program as they're finally rolling out. Starting to put some lap times down for you here. We'll be able to bark out some times. But first and foremost, let's see how they did do in opening qualifying one. That was yesterday. Liam McNeely out of the gate strongly. He has been perfect on the year so far. Your point leader coming into the weekend, McNeely up by 13 points over Jack Jeffers, who's in second for Exclusive Autosport. Jay Howard's Liam McNeely on top. He was at 134.173. He set a new track record. We'll see if they get lower than that track record now, and I think they may. They're at 134.4. It'll actually be all Jay Howard on the first row for qualifying one, and that will be race number one later today. Liam McNeely alongside Brad Majman. The two rookie drivers for Jay Howard, USF 2000, P1 and P2. Jeffers was second, or rather third, alongside Caleb Gaffera in fourth. Evan Cooley and Sebastian Garzone, fifth and sixth. That's our first qualifying session. Right now, Liam McNeely on top, as he's got a couple laps in here. G3 Argyros for Pabst Racing up into second. Jeffers in third. Teddy Musella in fourth spot. Thomas Schrag fifth. Majman in sixth. Martella seventh. Anthony Martella in seventh spot. Sebastian Garzone in eighth. Timmy Carell in ninth, and Caleb Gaffera 10th. I didn't mention the Canadian driver, Anthony Martella, part of the action. Given some time for these drivers to start building the heat into the tires. We know over a session that's 30 minutes long with 20 minutes of green flag, you want to get some laps in early. Yeah, you're getting the tires with the temperature, but man, get that banker lap in, right? Get a couple of laps in just in case something happens for you. Following the 67 of South Africa's Vian Boshoff. In the filter-equipped Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development Machine. He, I believe, jumping into pit lane. Boshoff in 17th there, 135.650. You wonder whether or not they may go to new tires here. Jack Jeffers on top of the 134.143. Jeffers has gone to P1. We chat about Ayrton Hauk in the number 58. Actually, let's grab the 18 here now. It's Brady Golan, second year in USF 2000. Last year did both juniors and 2000. Golan out of Texas. At Austin, 17 years of age, sophomore in the series, came through the USF Juniors program. Finished 10th overall back in 2023. Top 5 at VIR. Did some USF 2000, a couple of races. I think just maybe the one, just Mid-Ohio, I think, back in 23. Did the full program last year in USF 2000, but he's also had some success. Did the IMSA Pilot Challenge, with a winner last year in 2024 at Daytona. So he does some sports car racing as well. Ran the FRA series, I think he's going to do that as well this year. So a lot of seat time for Brady Golan. Brady currently 10th spot. Golan there. And number 18. The entire FK Fast Kart machine. Golan trying to get a good lap at turn number 9 down to 10. That's where the ultimate timing line is. You'll come across here. That's where they're going to see the checker at the end of the session. Golan rolls it in. Moves up to P9, 134.720. So finds a little bit there for Golan. See the tire logo on the side of the 18. Does he head to pit lane? No, he's going to stay. No, he is indeed into pit lane. So we've seen a number of drivers come to pit here early. Jeffers, Schrag in pit into pit lane. Gafera, Musella. A lot of drivers into pit lane starting to make that move in for potentially fresh tires here. Again, all about getting yourself with the placement on the track. You see a move there to the inside of turn number 3. That's all about getting by a driver potentially slower in front of you. I talk about the magic sometimes of qualifying, and I remember sitting down with Ricardo Juncos discussing an Indy Lights session when I was on IndyCar Radio Network, and we were talking about all the different factors that come into putting down a fast lap. If you're on the sidelines as a racing fan, your mindset may be, yeah, we'll throw these kids out, and then they just drive as hard as you can for 20 minutes and see what your best lap is. And that maybe is so in some racing, but in this particular context, everything has to come together. Because first and foremost, the drivers need coming out of the gate with brand new tires. You need to take care of them. There's a way to kind of break those tires in. There's a way, an equation, a formula, an approach to bring them up to temperature. If you come out and hammer too hard, you're going to hurt the tires. So there's your first equation. The opening couple laps, how you bring the tires up to temp. Remember, there's also kind of, even though these Continentals are super consistent throughout the session, a lot of times there'll be a peak where they're at their absolute best. When they first put them on, they've still got the mold compound when they pop the tires out of the mold, so you want to take care of them. Once they get that cleaned off, you think about the peak of the tire. When am I going to get the maximum grip? But then you also put that with tire pressure. The team has to set the tire pressure knowing exactly when those tires are coming up to temperature. The driver has to take care of the tires in the car to bring the temperatures up so the tire temperature and the pressure, so it hits the optimum of both, they happen at the same time. So you're at the exact peak of the tire pressure is where you want it to be. The driver then, of course, throughout the whole session needs to make sure that they're not caught up behind somebody behind them. So it's their job to make sure they have open racetrack, maybe even a faster driver in front of them so they can get the draft off that driver. And then last but not least, the driver's got to hit the lap. So when all these factors come together, the driver then has to hit the mark. It's a 13-corner racetrack. They have to hit every entry, every apex, every exit correctly. They have to carry that corner speed. They have to maximize braking. Everything has to happen at the right time for that magic lap. And that's why sometimes you see it at the very end of a session. The fuel load keeps burning off, so the car gets lighter and lighter through the session. So if you can make all of those factors happen the last couple of laps of a run, let's say you're changing to new tires. So right before you come in to change to new tires, you want it done there. When you come to new tires, it happens all over again, and ideally everything sets up for the final lap of the session. Of course, that's when the car is the lightest. You've burned off essentially 20 minutes plus of fuel. That's when it's going to be the lightest. The lightest is the fastest. So again, all those factors have to come together to see how it plays out. So back at it here, Liam McNeely, remember, a 134.783. That's the new track record, eclipsing Joey Brienza's 135.351. So they went over a second quicker. And right now, he's at 134.119. So yeah, a new track record will be set. McNeely going faster than he did yesterday. He has reset the provisional track record. McNeely up top of the 134.119. That said, Jack Jeffers behind by less than 0.03 of a second. Jeffers into second, Schrag third, Argyros fourth, Gafera fifth, Musella sixth, Ayrton Hauk up to seventh. Wow. Let's unpack that for a second. We're following him right now. Let's key on this driver here, the number 58 of Ayrton Hauk, as he works his way out of turn number 7 through 8 and 9. He has not had a good weekend. Onto the racetrack early. They had an issue with the engine. A piece of nut fell into the motor and got into one of the cylinders. That engine had to come out. It's going back to Elite Engines. They bolt a new engine in, roll him out for practice, and yesterday morning, and a header. They had an issue with the header, broken header, out of that session. Into qualifying for race number 1, he rolls out and gets off track just a little bit. Broken left rear push rod throws him off the racetrack on the outside of turn number 5. He ends up in the gravel, gets no laps. So unbelievably tough for Ayrton Hauk. So qualified yesterday in 18th, currently in the 7th position. A better look for that brand new team, Benchmark Autosport. Kevin Hauk Eric's father starting Benchmark Autosport. They have Don Connor, who they ran for last year, DC Autosport. Don will be the engineer for the team. But Kevin's running the program now. Benchmark Autosport, they actually have a Kenyan midget team as well that operates out of the Midwest. But this is obviously an operation. Kevin recently retiring from his full-time job and getting a chance to focus on this new effort, Benchmark Autosport. Looking forward to seeing that program grow over the next number of years. Hopefully adding a second car for 2026. So 6 minutes to go. Here's your top 10. McNeely, Jeffers, Schrag, Cooley, and Argyros. It's Evan Cooley, the rookie for Exclusive Autosport, has moved his way up to 4th. That goes now back to 5th as Caleb Gaffera comes up. So McNeely, Jeffers, Gaffera, Schrag, Cooley, top 5. Argyros 6th. Rookie Christian Cameron for VRD now up into 7th. Masella 8th. Hauk 9th. D-Force's Sebastian Garzon leading the 3 drivers from D-Force in 10th, 11th, and 12th. Garzon, Golan, and Leonel. Joshua Leonel coming into the weekend here, sitting 3rd place in point, the podium 3rd in the opening round at St. Petersburg, got 9th in race number 2, so he is 3rd place in points at 34, 30 markers behind Liam McNeely, but nonetheless a great start for the multi-time Skip Barber Formula Race Series runner-up Joshua Leonel out of Texas. 133.453, obliterating that track record from yesterday. Temperature ideal here right now, 67 degrees. Sunny, perfect weather here this weekend at NOLA Motorsports Park. Could have asked for much more. Back on it here with Vian Boshoff. Shout out to all the fans watching back in South Africa. Boshoff in 17th, turned his fastest lap on the last lap. He come to pit lane now. No, he's still out on the track. So the 67, the 130.253. A couple more tenths to move him up a spot or two. 4.5 minutes to go. Evan Cooley has now gone to 2nd. McNeely still on top of the 133.453. And as I talked about, these cars are getting lighter and lighter, burning that fuel off. Here's Thomas Schrag coming through turn number 1 and 2. Schrag for VRD Racing. 3rd right now. 20-year-old driver to Bethel, Ohio. 12th overall last year, having missed a couple of races. He missed the points and a half oval event at IRP. Also did not do the Road America weekend, but still came away with a couple of podiums and 6 top 10s. A lot of success on the resume for Thomas Schrag. Again, Team USA Scholarship in 2022. Finished 4th at the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch. Won the FRP F1600 Championship Series with 9 wins in 2022. Get a chance to do a full-time season here with VRD Racing. Schrag currently in the 3rd spot, 133.855. It's McNeely, Cooley, Schrag, Majman, and Jeffers, the fast 5. Still a long time to go. Over 3 minutes to go. Did we see some last lap heroics out of someone? We did not in juniors. Although Liam Loyakono coming away with his first career pole position in juniors, the Aussie, his debut weekend. Here's the 91. That is Lucas Facuri, the Brazilian, currently in 16th. His teammates Cooley and Jeffers, 3rd and 5th. So look for a big lap here coming up potentially for Facuri. Everybody on the racetrack, all 19 cars on track now. 2 seconds separate the field from front to back. It's a challenging racetrack, a lot of hard braking, a lot of very fast corners as well, where you got to trust the car, you got to keep the right foot to the floor. Following Facuri through turn number 4 now. Crucial corner, turn 4. Out, full throttle. I still have to talk to a 2000 driver. I don't know if they're full throttle here or not coming through turn number 5. I'm that would be sketchy. Using all of that outside part of the racetrack over the red and white rumbles. There's more pavement on the outside through turn number 6, 7. And then here's the run down into turn 8 and 9. McNeely still on top. G3 Argyros moves his way up to 4th. Leonel up into 5th. Cameron to 8th. Majman and Jeffers back to 6th and 7th. Both those drivers need to find some pace here, which would be lap number 9. In fact, they haven't put it in yet. Jeffers has got 7 laps, Majman 8. Everybody else up front, in front of them, 9. Security does not improve on his lap time, 135.5 last time, by about a half a second off his best lap of 135.0. He needs a tow. I don't know that anybody's in front of him right now. I'll see as he comes onto the front straightaway here. Yeah, I think he's all alone. He's not going to have any help. Well, there's a driver a little bit up on him there. It might have been Bossoff. G3 Argyros in the number 23 went quicker, as I said, up to P4. The 11 of Lionel now into 5th spot. Pick up this grouping here. A couple drivers on it. D-Force and Jay Howard. Through 10, 11, 12. One of those drivers pulling off, then the driver at the back, the Jay Howard car pulling off. Less than 30 seconds remain here. Teddy Musella improves up into 9th, 134.232. McNeely still on top of the 133.434. He's in the pit. McNeely standing on his time. Wasn't able to pick up that car, whether it was Brady Golan or one of the other D-Force cars. Checkered flag flying on the back straightaway, folks. This is it. Final lap for these drivers. Ryan Janetta actually went quicker for himself, moved up to 18th, 135.317 on his last lap, so Janetta gets a little more. McNeely right now with fast lap for both race 2 and race 3. Schrag 3rd and 2nd, Cooley 2nd and 4th. Here's this final lap. Eddie Beswick gets 4 spots on the last lap for Synergy Motorsport. They're really working to dial that thing in. 134.899. He found a ton. I want to say probably a half a second on the last lap there for Eddie Beswick, another one of the former Australian Formula 4 champions. Beswick did a one-off last year in Toronto. Showed great pace, but got into a couple incidents. The rest of the field coming across the line. Musella again, up to P5. 133.998 for Teddy Musella. Excellent run for him. We've shaken things up a little bit. Liam McNeely with the fast time. Again, continuing on, your point leader and double race winner from St. Petersburg, going to be on pole for all 3 races provisionally. Remember, fast lap of the second race still can be used if it's better than your second fastest qualifying lap. But he did a 133.43, 4.53 and a 133.498. His 2 lap times, fastest lap times, within about 3 or 4 hundredths of a second. Timmy Carell getting some more pace there as well. He moves up to 15th on the last lap. But what we see is McNeely as the top driver, right behind him, but not right behind him. Honestly, over 0.3 of a second back. Evan Cooley, exclusive Autosport driver out of Illinois, up into 2nd. So strong for Cooley. Thomas Schrag ends up in 3rd. He'll start race number 2 alongside G3 Argyros. Row 3 will be Teddy Musella and Joshua Lionel. Row 4, Brad Majman and Jack Jeffers. Row 5, Christian Cameron and Caleb Gaffera. Row 6, Ayrton Hauk. Hauk ends up 11th alongside Sebastian Garzon. Anthony Martella and Brady Golan on row 7. Timmy Carell and Eddie Beswick, row 8. Lucas Fakiri and Vian Bossoff, row 9. And Ryan Janetta on row number 10. What do we got up front? 4. How about 4 different drivers in the top 4, 5 in the top 6? Jay Howard, exclusive Autosport, VRD, and Pabst in your top 4. VRD doubles up with Schrag and Musella, but then you add in the D-Force driver, Joshua Lionel, P6. So, man, as I said, 5 different teams in the top 6. Again, illustrating how good the teams are, the depth that we have in terms of operations in the paddock here in the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. Excellent work by all of them. But the spotlight remains on Liam McNeely in that number 6. The driver out of England, very impressive again at 133.453. Provisionally, all 3 poles on the weekend. Again, ran away with 2 race victories at St. Petersburg, comes in here with a 13-point lead with an opportunity to potentially go 5 for 5. But I'll tell you this, there's 18 other drivers in the paddock and on the grid that do not want to let that happen. Every one of these drivers is going to be gunning for a race win here at NOLA Motorsports Park. So we've got a break in the action right now here, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're going to keep the stream going if you're watching USF Pro TV. We're around 17 minutes away from the start of qualifying. 10:45 start for USF Pro 2000. Don't go anywhere. The top level of the USF Pro Championships, their second qualifying session up in just about 17 minutes.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
The USF Pro Championships is really the development level for drivers coming out of karting to move their way to the NTT IndyCar Series. The whole concept is we teach them everything they need to know all the way up the ranks.
The USF Pro Championships, it's North American Open Wheel Racing's version of college sports. Got 3 tiers to it, which is pretty important. This whole thing is geared to go upwards and really define who the next stars happen to be.
There's so many drivers that come into the sport and maybe don't have the financial resources to make it all the way to the big time, right? All the way to IndyCar. The scholarship program provides a monetary award that goes to a driver winning the championship that allows them to move up to the next level. So if you win a championship, you win the money you need to go racing in the next level.
A number of drivers in IndyCar today have used the ladder system to gain experience and to gain funding via the scholarships to pay for the next level.
The USF Pro Championship helped me get to this spot in my career because of the many opportunities that it creates.
It was massive for me. The scholarships that are implemented are crucial for drivers. That was my lifeline all the way to IndyCar, and it's a big reason why I made it.
It's very unique, you know. We have the opportunity to win our way to IndyCar, basically, and some guys have done that.
The USF Pro Championships really helped me to get where I am today. You get so much racing on IndyCar tracks. You get ovals too, which for a European guy, that's something that's very useful.
This series is a smooth way of adding new developments into my career and new aspects of it. Like it's a smooth way of learning how to grow as a driver.
It has a great reputation. The competition level is amazing. It just gives drivers a great opportunity to advance.
The field here is really, really intense. I mean, people are down to the hundreds of thousands a second.
It's a great development series, and I think it's somewhere that you should be if you want to be going to IndyCar.
You know, one of the key factors in the USF Pro Championship that we always focus on is the level of safety. You know, back in 2022, we introduced the Halo to the car, which has increased the level of safety dramatically. And again, we're one of the only series that runs that in the junior level. And that's the key for us, is to make sure we take care of our drivers. Number 1 on the racetrack, number 2 with the Halo, but number 3, of course, with the AMR IndyCar safety team as well. Just like IndyCar has a dedicated crew of people that when there's an incident, they're the ones that arrive on scene the first time. They're with us as well. They know our race cars, they know our drivers, so when they get there, in the event there is an incident, we make sure they're completely taken care of.
So for the safety in our series, we follow IndyCar pretty much on all the safety standards as far as drivers' helmets, harness devices, suit requirements. We follow the IndyCar, and the reason for that, because we want to be the best out there. We want to be the safest. We want a mom and a dad to know their son, their daughter is in the car and they're absolutely the safest they can be.
They always think of safety first, and now every car has Halo, so if there's any flying debris or if you flip, you know 100% that you're going to be safe.
I had a big crash, Freedom 100, 2019 back in Indy Next, and before my car even stopped rolling, I already had an AMR safety guy in the car saying, "Hey, are you okay?"
Well, having started out as a racing dad, I know full well the concerns of a parent to make sure that we protect their kid. And we are very safety conscious in the USF Pro Championships.
When racers come to run with the USF Pro Championships, they're trying to become professional drivers, as we know, and they're trying to get exposure for what they've done, right? Not only do we teach them in terms of the media side, but they're really hoping for exposure through what we do. All of our races, of course, live on the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel. We have a downloadable app as well that fans can watch all of the races, the documentary, The Climb that we put out, all the live timing, all on the app. So the exposure is there that they're able to leverage. If they have a sponsor or a prospective partner, an investor who's not here trackside, they're able to watch all the racing throughout the year. It's all about giving these kids as much exposure as possible, and there's not another junior formula program in North America that has the kind of exposure at the level that we have here in the USF Pro Championships.
We're rubbing elbows. We're on the same race weekends as IndyCar. And so it helps for those young drivers to look up and see those guys running at the top level like I am now.
Being in the presence of the organization that is IndyCar, you're obviously not racing in the series, but you're racing with it.
We create our schedule to be as much as possible on IndyCar weekends. The IndyCar series is always looking for young talent. They've moved a lot of our kids into the upper levels, and we need to race in front of them.
The IndyCar team owners do pay attention to what's going on the ladder, and that's important for the drivers. But it's a good way to get and learn exactly what goes into a race weekend.
They really made sure to show the importance of social media and posting, and to get well at talking in front of crowds and talking in front of big places.
It's extremely international now, which hasn't always been the case. You're racing against guys that will be future IndyCar race winners, race champions, and so it's a very unique opportunity.
The reason to come and check out the USF Pro Championships is simply because we teach everything you need to work your way to the top. Again, it's not just about racing, it's about everything that you have to learn to be a race car driver, but also the development we have from car to car, level to level, gives the driver a little bit more every year. It's a really graduated step for up the sport, as opposed to diving into something super fast. This teaches you from a really good place coming out of karting into one of the school series like the Skip Barber Racing School, and then into our USF Juniors program. It's such a planned effort. Everything is set correctly so that on the way up you learn incrementally what you need to get to IndyCar.
On our level, our job is to prepare them mentally, emotionally, media conscious, all that stuff. We have training seminars. We have the race directors who will, especially on the juniors level, will work with the kids and try and explain to them what's going on the racetrack, what they did right, what they did wrong. This is a learning series. They need to learn from their mistakes so that when we deliver them to IndyCar, they're the real deal. They're the finished product.
It's really important as they move up the USF Pro Championships ladder to continue to build on their brand as they get to IndyCar. It's a good way for the drivers to learn what they're going to have to deal with as they get to the big leagues.
It gives them a great training ground from the bottom to the top, how to communicate with your team, how to act, how to be as a person, all the things that are needed to become a professional driver.
You really can work hand in hand with your mechanics to tell them exactly what you need. I've learned a lot in this series of what it takes to be a driver and relay that to the mechanics as far as driving, how the car feels, and I think this series just does a great job with putting the drivers with the right teams and the crew to make that happen.
USF Pro Championships, it does a really good job of educating us on what tracks we're going to be running when we get to the professional leagues. Same thing in Formula One. You run the certain tracks that you're going to race in Formula One, and they do a really good job of that here. There's other series that could lead you on the path to IndyCar, but they don't race on the same tracks as IndyCar does. So the USF Pro Championships gives you a little bit of a leg up as a young driver to already know the tracks, so that when you become a rookie in IndyCar, you have a little bit more of an even, playing field with the other pros that you're racing against.
3 levels in the USF Pro Championships. We have USF Juniors, USF 2000, USF Pro 2000. One of the key components of the technical side of our sport is the fact that all 3 levels have the same basic chassis in itself. The USF Juniors, USF 2000, very similar race cars with the same engine as well. Larger engine, more horsepower for the drivers in USF Pro 2000. But what we always say is that we want our drivers to get a little bit more of everything as they work their way up the ranks.
We hooked up with Italian race car designer Tatis Race Cars. They are the biggest in the world in junior formula cars, and they've built us an incredible car to our specs. We started with what is a typical Formula 4 chassis, but we strengthened it with a double bulkhead to protect drivers' feet, side intrusion panels. The core of the series is the Tatis race car. The tub is the same on all 3 levels, and a lot of the pieces transfer over from one level to another. So you increase the horsepower on every level, lap times get quicker on every level, but it's all basically the same cockpit and the same controls, same data system, and the drivers can learn as they gradually increase horsepower and go faster.
So the Juniors and the US 2000 are basically the same car, same engine, same gearbox. Where it comes into is the engine is detuned. It has a different restrictor on, which is different horsepower. It has different wheels, different dampers, different uprights, different brakes. From there to the pro level, it's different body work, it's different wings on the car, it's a totally different engine. The first 2 levels, they integrate with each other very good. Going to the next one, the same. Still the same, tub, suspension, uprights are the same on a pro car, and brakes as a 2000. It just gets into being a little bit more. It's got a bigger gearbox on it, bigger wheels, bigger tires, more horsepower.
So every step we have specifically designed to make sure you're ready to go that next year when you move up a level.
you can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
Welcome back to NOLA Motorsports Park. The mercury continues to rise as we close in on the noon hour. 68 degrees trackside, a high now forecast for 75. Ideal weather here at NOLA Motorsports Park this weekend, and we'll heat things up even more for the final qualifying session of the weekend. USF Pro 2000 rolling out. These drivers running rounds 3, 4, and 5 here this weekend, having started the year off with a doubleheader at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Again, this 2.74 mile, 13-turn road course is a challenging one. A lot of very high-speed kinks, hard braking zones into turn number 10 and 1. Rhythm section through 3 and 4. Max Garcia getting off to a strong start on the season. Second in the opening round, won round number 2 on the streets of St. Petersburg, so he brings a 13-point lead into the weekend over Matt Clark. Garcia for Pabst Racing won the championship last year in USF 2000, so the scholarship colors on the car. Clark, a former USF Juniors champion as well. Won that opening season for USF Juniors in 2022. He was 4th in the opening round, actually finished on the podium, but was hit with a blocking penalty in the opening round, but still finished 4th, came back to a solid 2nd in race number 2, so he's 2nd in points coming in. Clark qualified 6th for race number 1. Garcia keeping that momentum up. He put the Pabst Racing number 18 P1 on the opening qualifying session at 129.78. A new track record for Garcia, 129.784. Liam McNeely able to go significantly below the track record he set in USF 2000. Liam O'Connell obviously setting the track record as well here in USF Juniors. So ideal conditions, I think, for track record time. So we will reset the bar likely here again. 127.784 with the fast time for qualifying for Garcia for race number 1. Again, this session here for race 2 and race 3 need 2 good laps. Fastest lap for race number 2. Second fastest lap potentially for race number 3, unless you go quicker than that lap in race number 2. Garcia, DeTulio, Douglas, Costello, Elkin was the top 5 in the first qualifying session. Max Garcia, Alessandro DeTulio, third place in points, coming off the victory in race number 1, but a DNF incident in race number 2 at St. Pete puts him back into 3rd, but he was second quick, back by only 0.07 of a second. Jacob Douglas and Michael Costello, Garcia's Pabst teammates, 3rd and 4th yesterday. Ariel Elkin from TJ Speed leading that trio of drivers. Elkin 5th, Chase Denmark 10th, Sebastian Manson 12th. Matt Clark in 6th spot for Exclusive Autosport. His teammates Joey Brienza 9th and Carson Eder in 18th. Carson nursing a injured shoulder right now. He's struggling with that. Talked to him before the session. Owen Tedjavelu and Max Taylor, the 2 VRD drivers, 7th and 8th. Brienza, I mentioned, in 9th, and Chase Denmark, as I talked about as well, in 10th. 19 drivers in the field. Again, the race this afternoon will be the 350th for USF Pro 2000. And to me, just obviously, it's just a fantastic stat. Great to discuss the whole program for USF Pro 2000. You think about the lineage all the way back into 1999. And that was in the old Formula Mazda. That car, Formula Mazda, is still being run in SCCA. It's being run around the country. Joey Hand, a name that those of you who are involved in Ford Motorsport will know. Joey, of course, has done a bunch of Cup racing. They've had him in the road course events. His son Chase Hand coming up through the ranks as well in karting and doing some stock car racing as well. But he was the very first winner, race number 1. We'll go through this, of course, when we go racing as well. Race 50 was won by Luis Schiavo. That was the last year, I believe, with the older car. Actually, that might have been the newer car. Actually, Luis Schiavo won, I believe, the year before in 03 in the old Formula Mazda, won the championship, and then was the first winner as well with the new car. Race 100 at VIR with Peter Dempsey, team Turn 3 Motorsport team owner, wins the 100. Jack Hawksworth, factory Lexus driver in IMSA, winning the 150. Aaron Tielitz, another driver who spends time with Lexus, the 200. 250 was Daniel Frost. 300 Louis Foster. Of course, we're racing this weekend for Ray Hall, Leonard Lanigan Racing at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. You think about the road to Indy, if you go back to 2010, the first winner was Tristan Vautier. Then, of course, since Anderson Promotions took over the program, the former Star Mazda program in 2013, that first winner was Diego Ferreira at the Circuit of the Americas. Pato Award winning race number 50 under the Anderson banner. Kyle Kirkwood race 100 and Louis Foster race 150. So Louis was essentially the 300th race for the entire program, the lineage of that Star Mazda to USF Pro 2000. It was also the 150th under the Anderson Promotions banner. Drivers now get a couple laps in here. Some heat into those Continentals I discussed during the USF 2000 program. All that goes in to a pole lap or even a good qualifying lap, all the different factors that you have to lay down. The very first foremost is bringing those tires up to temperature correctly. There's the number 20 there, Michael Costello, moving up from USF 2000 into the pro category here with Pabst Racing this year. He's following behind his teammate Garcia. I believe all the Pabst cars very likely to be running together on track here. Indeed, yeah, Jacob Douglas, the Kiwi, right behind him. Got Douglas from New Zealand. The race winner 2 years ago in USF 2000. And then essentially had to take last year off. Did a little bit of driving overseas, GB3 last year. 2 rounds of the GB3 series, but 6th overall, a couple of wins in USF 2000 and 2023. Scored the win in the Academy Winter Series as well. Good to have Jacob back. Currently P4 on track. DeTulio is up top. Let's have a look through as they've got 3 laps in now. Alessandro DeTulio to Turn 3 Motorsports, round 1 winner. Currently P1 with a 129.7. Again, what did I say? 129.784. He's at a 129.769. So there you go. New track record already, provisionally for Alessandro DeTulio. So we will reset track record again here today. Ariel Elkin from TJ Speed now up into 2nd. Costello and Douglas 3rd and 4th. Matt Clark 5th. Owen Penjavelu in 6th spot. Make that Cooper Becklin up into 6th for Turn 3. Penjavelu 7th. Taylor 8th. Garcia 9th. Manson 10th. Let's see those exclusive Autosport cars jump up in there. They had 2 drivers in the top 10 yesterday. They have now 1. Matt Clark has worked his way up into 6th. Joey Brienza just on the outside looking in, but all those drivers behind him. Brienza, George Garcia Arce, Jace Denmark, Nicholas Montiero, Tyke Durst, Frankie Mossman, and Carson Etter all turning their fastest laps here on lap number 3. Let's pick up the driver on screen. That's the 26. TJ Speed Motorsports driver into pit lane. That is Jace Denmark. Denmark in the 26, Elkin in the 27, Manson in the 28 for TJ Speed. There's Joey Brienza for Exclusive Autosport. I think we're going to get the same thing we've seen before. We're going to get this session split in half where they're going to come in, they go out on one set of tires, they're going to come in, put fresh rubber on, and come back out. So the excitement's going to happen in the second half of this one. There's 11 and a half minutes remaining in the 20 minutes of green flag window. DeTulio, Elkin, Costello, Douglas, Garcia, but lots to happen. Max Garcia, who was further back, improves up into the P5 spot. Cooper Becklin up into 7th. Nicholas Montiero improving to 11th. There comes Brienza in. Remember, 2 good laps needed here. Brienza currently 12th. in both runs. A 130.9 his best lap, 131.1 his second best lap. So they got the banker laps in. Again, that's what we talk about in this first run. You expect to come in, you're going to put on fresh tires, you know you're going to get rubber, you know you're going to have that extra grip level, but can you make a minor change to the car? A little bit, maybe. There's Charles Finelli, Fat Boy Racing. You look at our field, anywhere from 15 to 20, 21 years of age, some of the older drivers here. And you got Charles Finelli, 61 years young. Man, this guy still loves coming out to run USF Pro 2000. Racing for a couple of decades in open wheel formula cars. Charles lining up behind a couple of the Pabst Racing guys, maybe get a little bit of a tow, a little help. There's the 44. That is DeTulio. That's the car driven last year by Lucky Hughes to the championship. DeTulio with a win already. It's that minor miscue in race number 2 at St. Petersburg dropped him back to 18th in that one. Not a result he wanted at all, but a learning experience for Alessandro. He ran USF Juniors in the initial year back in the old Ligier car in 2022. Had a couple of race wins there, but then also came back in 2024 and did a number of races at the end of the year just to get comfortable, just to stay out of trouble. Wasn't trying to get any results, but just trying to get seat time, wheel-to-wheel seat time. And has come out of the gate super strong. Is definitely one of the contenders for Turn 3. A couple of incidents at St. Petersburg have put two of the Turn 3 drivers on the sidelines for now. Titus Sherlock and Elliot Cox both had a couple of incidents on the weekend at St. Pete. Hopefully we'll see them back on track later in the year. DeTulio leading the way right now with a 129.769. Whoever tops this session is going to have that new track record here at NOLA for USF Pro. 129.769. Ariel Elkin for TJ Speed. Been a good weekend for TJ Speed thus far. Elkin was 5th in the opening round, currently sitting 2nd for both races, 2 and 3. You go back to last year and they had good pace as well. Hunter Yaney was very impressive, scoring a race win for TJ Speed. They had a good race car for this racetrack, but it's a lot different than it was last year. Tim Neff and the crew have made that adjustment. They got good hot rods. Manson now up to 10th. Jace Denmark down into 15th. Odd for Jace. He was on the pole last year in race number 1. How about Jacob Douglas at the top of the Pabst Racing Machine? Shout out there from New Zealand. 129.708 for Jacob Douglas. He'll go P1, but 8 minutes to go. And as I said before, fuel load burning down. We know these tires are going to come up to temperature still. Up to temp, hit that peak, that optimal lap. Low fuel. Driver potentially positioning the car to be able to get a tow on the driver up front. And then, of course, last but not least, putting the lap together. Douglas just did that, at least at 129.708. DeTulio's second fastest time still good enough for P1 in race 3. Douglas has one good lap, a 129.708. I'm sure he'll go probably a little bit quicker than a 132.05. That was his second best time. His P4 with that one. Garcia now up to 3rd. Max Taylor up to 7th. Tyke Durst into the top 10. Great seeing the development of Tyke Durst, who did F4, then jumped right into USF Pro 2000. Was 11th yesterday, trying to see if he can't come away with a top 10 here. I think a top 10 would be his best qualifying effort. Here's Logan Adams, the Comet Racing Newcastle Motorsports Park entry. Family-run single-car team. His grandfather, Mark Dismore, former IRL Indy Racing League winner. Won at Daytona. Legendary name in American karting for sure. 4 generations of Dismores. Now Adams have been part of that program. They run one of the most popular race karting tracks in North America, Newcastle Motorsports Park. Fantastic venue. Adams currently sitting in the 18th spot. He'll be looking for more. Douglas, Garcia, DeTulio, Elkin, Taylor, top 5. Had a shot of Frankie Mossman there in the number 6 for Jay Howard driver development. Frankie had a rough go at St. Petersburg as well. 21st in the opening race, 10th in race number 2. Currently sits 17th in points. Watching Mossman here through turn number 3. Matt Clark's moved his way up to P4. Now we're ready to go. Coming around to the 5.5 minute mark. Jacob Douglas out of turn number 7, but Clark moving his way up to P5 as Owen Tangevelou for VRD Racing. Tangevelou, the 19-year-old driver out of France, up into second. And only by 15 thousandths of a second, Tangevelou, who was 4th overall last year in the Euro Cup 3 Series, with a couple of years of Formula Regional European Championship, French F4 earlier on. Tangevelou to second. There's Douglas, down to 3rd now, as his teammates have pipped him, but not by much. Garcia now back at the top, 129.247. Max Garcia, USF 2000 champion. Big lap there. Costello goes up to second. So it's right now Pabst Racing 1, 2, 3, VRD 4, 5, and then DeTulio 6th. Tangevelou 4th, Taylor 5th, DeTulio 6th. Oh, red flag. Got an issue on the racetrack. Red flag out with 4.5 minutes to go, so the drivers are going to probably get a 3 or a 4 lap mad dash at the end, having cooled the tires a bit. Trying to figure out who has gone off. That looks like one of the exclusive Autosport cars has spun. I'm thinking that might be coming. Is that coming? Yeah, it's coming out of turn number 1. So someone losing it coming out of 1. What do you think, folks? Maybe right rear damage? That right rear looks leaned over quite a bit. Unsure which driver that is now. I think it's very likely Joey Brienza. Thinking about the color livery of the 3 cars at exclusive, I think that may be Brienza. And he was 15th. Yeah, that's Brienza, and he had just turned his he turned his fastest lap on. No, that was, I believe, his fastest lap before that. A 130.834. No damage to the right rear. I thought maybe it was leaned over a bit. I think he may just be high-centered, to be honest. He's staying in the car. Yeah, I don't even know that they're going to pull him. They're just going to try to see if they can't push it off. 4 minutes and 39 seconds remain. Yeah, they're going to get the car to go, the truck to go the other direction. They got to pull him back onto the racetrack. Obviously, lost it coming through turn number 1. Lost the rear, looped it around, and then just got high-centered between the track and the dip. Well, they're taking care of Joey Brienza, who will lose that fast lap. That'll be tough for him. He'll lean back on a 130.910. That will drop him, I believe, to 16th. Garcia, 129.247. Again, a new provisional track record. He has the pole for both races provisionally right now with a 29.2 and a 29.6. Costello second, but 5th in race 3. 29.3 for Costello for second, 30.1, a 130.1, his second quickest time. He needed that one more lap. Jacob Douglas, 3rd and 2nd. He'll be P3 right now, provisionally. Owen Tangevelou and Max Garcia, 4th and 5th for VRD Racing. DeTulio back to 6th. He was P1 early. As you can see, the 91 exclusive Autosport machine of Brienza back rolling. Great job by the AMR IndyCar safety team to get him back on track. Matt Clark in 7th. He was up to 4th, but fell back to 7th. He's 7th and 8th with his 2 laps. Chase Denmark, who was deep in the field, gets a good lap. He goes up to 8th. In fact, a couple of good laps in a row for Jace Denmark. He's 8th and 7th. Elkin, who was in the top 5, down to now 9th and 6th. And then Cooper Becklin, 10th and 9th. Tyke Durst, who is 11th for race number 1, currently 11th and 12th. But again, these drivers are going to have time. Come in, press the reset button. 4.5 minutes, essentially, left in this session. They got to go all the way around from the pit to 10 to start the first lap. So a little bit of work to be done there when the clock goes green. So 3 laps, maybe 4. Brienza will bring that UBS sponsored machine back. Joey Brienza again out of Colorado, but now living in Indianapolis. The Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, UBS, number 91, Tatis. For Golden Colorado's Joey Brienza. Well, these drivers are ready. Turn 3 drivers jumping out. Jumping out quickly at the call to get things back underway. They'll be the first drivers out onto the racetrack here. A lot of the drivers still staying on pit lane, I believe. Yeah, you can see how many drivers still on pit lane right now. We got the red flag still flying here, I believe, starting on at start finish. So I don't know what happened there with the turn 3 drivers pulling out. The red flag being waved still here. Did they pull out early before the call? I didn't see the live timing go green. So a number of drivers have already pulled out on track, and I believe they're going to get the red to come back into pit lane. '26 of Jace Denmark now rolling on track. Here comes the number 10 as well of George Garce-Arce, but we've got the red flag flying here at start finish, I believe. So unsure what's going on here now. Odd situation. Red flag flying. Number of drivers have gone on track and are going to be brought back around with the red. Garce-Arce and Denmark, as I said, went out under the red. Everybody else still staying. And it's, I don't know if it's miscommunication or not, because you got to expect that you're going to see the Pabst cars who are out front being the first ones out. Again, I talked about the fact that in the juniors session, the point leading team gets the initial pit spots. So Max Garcia is the point leader. All 3 of his, or 2 of his teammates, he and his 2 teammates, the benefactors there for Pabst being at the front of the grid. And we didn't see a green at start finish, so they didn't go. The turn 3 cars did go. I'm not exactly sure why Denmark and Garcia would have rolled out there as well. Lone drivers for their teams. They're going to have to come back around again. So we're talking confusion here right now. I don't have connection with race control to be able to give you any more in-depth information on that. So I'm as confused as anybody. There's still 4 minutes and 39 seconds remaining. As I said, we did not see a green. Obviously some communication on the radio as turn 3 jumped quickly out with all 3 of their drivers. So indeed, in hearing like unconfirmed reports, not straight from race control, that they left before the session had gone green. So without having a rule book in front of me or being standing beside race control, I don't know what the penalty will be for that. It's not going to be good, that's for sure. So again, everybody back into position now. I have thoughts, but I'm going to hold them to myself because not really my position to discuss this, as I'm not race control. And happy of that right now. So indeed, drivers will set, and we'll figure out what happens with the 4.5 minutes that are remaining. Right now it's Garcia, Costello, Douglas, Tangevelu, and Taylor. Let me get a visual. Actually, we got a good visual there. Great shot here for you from the drone shot to let you see the flag stand and the grid of 19 drivers. I hear race control. There's the green flag now. Pabst Racing still sitting where they are. Do they think they have the pace out of those cars? They're 4/10 quicker. Do they even send Garcia, Costello, and Douglas? Do they try to keep those tires 3 or 4 laps better? That's a luxury they have, being essentially 4/10 clear. Garcia 4/10 clear of Tangevelu, a 29.247 to a 29.616. I'm going to keep my eye on the drivers down here as well on pit lane. As the remainder, as you can see, working their way out through turn 3 and 4. The left hand turn 3, the right hand turn 4, crucial corner. The 9 of Nicholas Monteiro late coming off the grid as well. I think that a couple of D-Force cars are still there on the grid as well. Here's the 84 Tangevelu. P4, best of the rest right now behind the Pabst Racing front-running trio that stays on pit lane. Here comes Cooper Becklin, the Turn 3 Motorsports number 2. Matt Clark there for Exclusive Autosport, currently in the 7th spot, the Canadian. As I said before, former USF Juniors champion, multi-time Canadian Formula 4 champion. Clark for Exclusive Autosport. Again, great resume, no doubt. 5th overall in 2023 in the USF 2000 program with a couple of victories. 6 podiums, including his USF Pro debut at COTA that year. Last year, 11th overall, 4 top 10s. Skipped the final weekend. Didn't run the last weekend at Portland. Just didn't have the points. Didn't need to do it. And refocusing here on 2025. So back to green. There's going to be some fallout I would expect from those drivers leading early, but we'll leave that up to race control. So keep an eye on our social media for updates in terms of how this plays out. Just over 2 minutes remaining. There will be a lot of discussion, I know, after this. We do have a bit of time. Actually, the teams have a little bit of time. We're back on track at 12:10. Just about an hour from now, we'll have USF Juniors race number 1. I got Joey Brienza set to come and join me in the booth here as one of my driver analysts. Ty Fisher and Michael Succo, the 2 juniors drivers, will be joining me later on this afternoon as well. But we're just an hour away. Again, there is a drivers meeting as well at 11:45. So it's going to be a busy time between now and USF Juniors. And following Matt Clark right now, currently in the 7th spot. Because guess who's gone P1? This is going to be interesting. P1 now is Alessandro DiTullio for Turn 3 Motorsports. He has gone on top. Clark coming into pit lane. He'll call it quits. He is currently in 7th. DiTullio with a 1:29.204. Still over a minute remaining. DiTullio on point. The Pabst drivers on pit lane. You wonder whether or not the Pabst team's thinking, okay, we'll keep the drivers on the grid. We expect a penalty coming from them leaving early. This is going to be interesting in terms of the discussion that happens afterwards, and I'll leave it at that. DiTullio on top. Garcia, Costello, Douglas. Monteiro jumps up into 12th. Garciarce to 16th. There'll be a couple more laps here with 45 seconds. I don't know how it may be tight. This could be the last lap for a number of these drivers, maybe all of them. There's a couple coming out of turn number 8 and 9 that are going to sneak through. There's only 30 seconds remaining. You're going to have to try to sneak through at the end of the back straightaway. These drivers here are going to be super tight with 22 seconds to go. There's going to be probably 10 drivers that get through. 10 seconds left. Oh, yeah, one more shot through it. Who's jumped up? Ariel Elkin goes to 7th. Garciarce up to 10th. Mossman up to 11th. They get one more. There's the 28 of Manson. He's done. A number of these drivers already heading to pit lane. Mossman as well. Wonder whether or not we had more drivers kind of rolling through here. Brienza stays out. Denmark stays out. Tulio still on top. Elkin goes to 7th. There's your checkered flag at the alternate timeline. End of the back straightaway into turn number 10 to end the session. One of the D-Force drivers streaking underneath the black and white. Yeah, Montiero and Garcia Arce for D-Force jump up into 10th and 11th. Montiero still on the racetrack. Garcia Arce up to 11th. 4 drivers still remain on track. DeTulio still on top provisionally with a 129.204. Again, provisionally the fastest lap as well. Down the back straight. Anybody got anything else? A couple drivers still on the racetrack looking for changes. Tyke Durst up into the top 10. The 33 of Tyke Durst goes P10 with a 130.290. Brienza faster, 130.599, but that's still 15th. And he'll be the last driver across the line. DeTulio on top provisionally at 129.204. 400ths quicker than Max Garcia. Michael Costello in 3rd. Jacob Douglas 4th. Owen Tangevelu in 5th. Max Taylor 6th. Ariel Elkin 7th. Mac Clark in 8th. Jace Denmark in 9th. And Tyke Durst rounding out the top 10. Some confusion there on the red. Brienza, as we know, will lose a fast lap. He may have already done that. May have already lost his fast lap. We'll see how that gets adjusted. But, yeah, some confusion there. When we went back to green with 4.5 minutes remaining, we'll see how that plays out. As why I said provisional times for DeTulio up top. Otherwise, a little break, but it's time to go wheel-to-wheel racing. Qualifying is done. We'll get all of our grids set. We can't say it's set for race number 3 yet, because if you go quicker in race 2 than you did as your second fastest lap, that race 3 qualifying lap, you can use that lap for sure. So indeed, 12:10, I believe, scheduled start time. We got rolling here for USF Juniors. Make sure to look for that start time on the YouTube channel as we get ready to go for first of 3 races on the day. UF Juniors is going to be a single event coverage itself, and then we come back about a half an hour later, USF 2000, USF Pro 2000 on a single stream. So 3 races for you to go here from NOLA Motorsports Park, but that wraps up qualifying, folks. We are done here. Lots of work to get done before we're back on track for race number 1 of the season for USF Juniors with Oliver Weldon starting on the pole for VRD Racing. We'll see you then, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in on behalf of Anderson Promotions. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.
He's over.